Hi, Michael. Welcome to the Genetic Genius. I am so happy to have you as a guest today. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Dr. Lulu. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, before we dive into learning all about how movement can affect our health, I would love for you to talk about just a little about yourself so we can get to know you, what you do, where you live, what your passion is, things like that.
This can get long, but I'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
I grew up in Israel. I played the piano since I was 7, so pretty much all my life. And growing up, I really had no idea what to do with myself, so it took some time. When I was 28, I went to study music in Vienna. So, and I became a piano accompanist, which is kind of a specialization of piano playing, working with people and with singers in particular in this case. So I stayed in Vienna for about 15 years. I worked at the Vienna Conservatory as a teacher, accompanying students at the piano. And then I met my wife, who is Chilean, and I've been living in Chile for the last 20 years. So, and I worked in the university here, accompanying instrumentalists at the piano. So I have about 30 years of a career at the piano. And right next to it, I've had the Feldenkrais Method, which is a method of conscious movement, of movement with awareness. We work, well, I'll tell you more about it. I'm sure you'll want to know more details about that. But it was kind of a second career. It was always there. It helped me survive the long hours at the piano and be well and organize myself well. It helped me work with other people. And I've been giving classes and working with people kind of on the side. And about 3 years ago, I quit the university. I decided that's enough. No more professional piano. Really, the last year I didn't have fun anymore. So it was like, okay, this is it. It was great until now. And I decided to dedicate myself to Feldenkrais, to teach movement. It became really clear to me over time that it is so extremely helpful for people. People really need it. And the way our civilization, our culture is built, we move less and less. So just being in movement is essential for our health.
Yeah.
You know that. So yeah, so it was a lucky change, because just before COVID, I don't think I would have enjoyed giving classes, music classes online. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Really. Doesn't sound like fun. So, so moving to Feldenkrais that really works well online was a lucky jump. Just
right.
before
Yeah. Good for you. Right.
So this is what I've been doing in the last 3 years, more maybe 4 even. And in the COVID era, when I moved everything online, started doing classes online, I designed this course that works really well online. That is a daily practice, very short daily practice. So do a movement exploration of 3 minutes every day over a long period of time. So, and this has been going really well. This was kind of an experiment for me in the, this is not the classical way of teaching Feldenkrais. Usually you take a long time, people come to your studio, lie on the floor and do an exploration of like an hour, 40 minutes at least, or in long weekend workshops. So this is what I've been doing in the last year and a half. And yeah, it's going well online, and this is my story. As short as I could make it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. You know, I love Vienna. I visited there, and it's a beautiful city. I went to the opera, and oh gosh, what a beautiful building. So I admire your time there. Yeah,
I worked with singers in Vienna, so it was kind of my homework to go to the opera.
Yeah.
When I was a student, I went about three times a week to the opera.
Wow.
Those
Oh,
standing places.
yeah.
You have
Oh,
these
that's wonderful.
really cheap standing places. You have this
Right. Yeah.
thing to lean on, and you stand throughout the whole show. But it was affordable.
Right, exactly. When you're a student, you need things to be affordable.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I love that you started talking about like the mindfulness and the movement with the Feldenkrais method. Kreis is correct, Feldenkrais. And we're going to dive deeper into finding out what that is and more about your 3-minute method, which I'm super excited to learn about too. So let's talk about like what is mindful movement and like how does that differ from just regular?
Yeah, mindful movement is movement, but but it is not really exercise. It is not meant to be aerobic or accelerate your heart, and it is not repetitive. We are actually using movement as a doorway to change, to work with our nervous system. Movement is a very good doorway because you can really control small things. You have your proprioception, the kinesthetic sense of feeling your body in movement. So you have information coming in.
Right.
And when you pay attention, when you do small things, you slow down, you lower the muscle tone. It is not about the power exercise, on the contrary. You try to reduce the effort so you can really notice small things. And what we do is nurturing our nervous system, our brain, with new information. And this, over time, really changed the way you use your body, the way you move. And because the body is not separate from who we are, it changes you. It helps you grow, become better. Your presence is better. Your way of communicating with people, with the world is changing. So it has a real transformational potential.
I love that. And so it's using, like you said, it's not like specific exercises so someone might think like cardio. It's a different type of movement. And is it a series? Like, well, we'll talk about the Feldenkrais method, but mindfulness movement didn't sound like it was like a series of exercises in general that you repeat over and over again, or is it?
No.
Okay.
It is not repetitive. This is one of the beautiful things that I really love about it. It is an exploration of yourself in action. So basically, you can explore anything. So
right.
when I work with musicians, that is kind of my world, I explore the things that they need. When I work with people who have back pain, I explore different things, like more foundational movements of how they use gravity, how they play with gravity.
Right.
So you can explore really anything, and there are hundreds of the classical, let's say, library of classes that we have, that Moshe Feldenkrais, the founder of this method, recorded. And people, his students, his oldest students, keep inventing classes. I invent my own classes. So it is really infinite. So it is not meant to be repeated. It is not aerobic exercise. Like, I mean, aerobic exercise is really necessary. We need to accelerate the heart. We need to move, to breathe faster. We need to work on our muscle strength. It is not meant to replace it. It is just a different way, a different aspect of movement and the way of using movement. So to explore, to get better. So the classes are, I have people who've been with me for years. We don't repeat the same class twice. If I take the same notes of a class, it is different again when we do it 2-3 years later.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. And from what you said before too, it's almost like you're resetting the neural pathways, because if you're doing also something different over and over, not you're doing it over and over, but if you're doing something new each time, then you're able to have this change in your brain, new information that's breaking old patterns. Is that kind of what the neuro aspect of it is?
Yeah, when we slow down and explore a certain movement and look at it closely and kind of take it apart, what we actually do is explore habitual patterns. We observe the way that we function, and we play with little options, with opening possibilities, with variations, in order to introduce new options. And the nervous system is very clever, and this is the way we learn. This is the way we grew up. This is what children do in the first 2 years of life. They play with variations. Most of the things they do don't really work. So it's not about finding the correct way to do something and stay with that. This is not how we function, really.
Right. Yeah.
We open up horizons, we open possibilities, and then in each specific situation, we find the optimal way of acting in order to get what we want. So voluntary action is actually it develops this way by exploring, by trying many things. And adult learning tends to kind of forget this, and when we go to school, we are taught the correct answer. We have to give the correct answer. We just stay on this tight rope, walking on it. We have the goal right in front of us, but we cannot move 1 millimeter left or right because we fall down, because we never explore this huge space around the right way.
Right. So it's narrowed in that aspect, but it sounds like mindfulness movement or mindful movement is very expansive, allows our brain to have the space to be doing something different, which then activates both the right brain and the left brain in like a cohesive kind of manner, in a new way.
Yeah, I see it like we have brain maps. We have brain maps, or sensory brain maps that are kind of receive information from the body all the time. This is huge. This is so complex. And then we have the motor brain maps, like this little person there that we from the brain we send commands to each muscle fiber, how much to contract in order to do something. This is very complex, and we don't want to go into it consciously. This is not something that we really decide. This all huge amount of information. Our brain is very clever and knows how to do it, but it does it always based on previous experience. So if we expand the experience, it has more material to work with, and the solutions are always better. They're always finer, they're more subtle, they're more perfect.
Right. Oh, great. Love it. And so if you said that there was not necessarily a specific like routine of exercises for mindfulness movement or the Feldenkrais method, but so there's like a catalog. Is that true? Like there's a catalog that you use, and then from there you can be like, okay, I want to use this exercise. Is there like a base of the catalog? Is it like 100 base exercises that you can pull from and choose, or is it like more than that, like thousands, or is it different types of movements? Like instead of like a basic, like an exercise is kind of a strange word, right? A movement. Explain about, let's back up. Explain about the Feldenkrais method. Like what, let's talk about that first, so we can kind of see what that movement methodology is.
Okay, so what it looks like. We have group classes, and usually we ask people to lie down. Sorry. It can be in sitting, can be lying on their belly or on their backs. Some classes in standing or on chairs. But typically, we want to reduce muscle tone and reduce the need to deal with gravity as we explore. So lying down gives you this basic opportunity,
right?
To just stop your daily, to get out of your habitual patterns. So people lie down. The class can minutes, an hour. We can do a long workshop over a weekend. So we do more hours a day, and we do the exploration, and it is slow. We do a body scan. And the classes are very specific. So in each class, I will explore something specific, and the instructions usually are verbal. I don't show what to do. I just explain it so that you have to kind of build some kind of an intention, and you start doing it. And usually we go slowly. We really repeat it a lot. Go slowly, do less. Do half of what is possible. Don't go to the extreme, because when you really want to push through and make it bigger, you go back to your habitual pattern. You lose the opportunity,
right?
To really to perceive the very fine details of what you're doing. So this is the group class, and then we have the individual class that is usually hands-on. So I can work with a student, manipulating, moving. It's kind of a conversation between two nervous systems.
Yeah.
It's the same exploration. It only looks different. So this is what the classes can look like. Now in the last 2 years, I haven't worked with a person
in person.
touching.
Right.
So it's all online. So
yeah.
we have to make do with words.
Right.
But it works fine.
Right.
So
you have evolved.
Yeah. We have to find new ways to do things. As everybody else.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I think I'm getting a picture kind of what that looks like. So you're instructing people to do a series of different movements that they're then formulating. I like the interesting part of it, that you're not demonstrating it physically, but it's verbal. So then people are doing different, like almost like a different movement in some sort of way, even though it could be the same, but they're formulating in their mind how they take in the instruction. And so from that piece, then they have that kind of mindfulness component, because they're going like, okay, how's my body going to be doing this movement in a relaxing environment type of way? Is that correct?
Yeah, I call it mindful movement because my personal path with mindfulness and with kind of a spiritual path that is not part of the official Feldenkrais method. This is my own way of describing it, but the official name of the group classes is awareness through movement. So it is very clear that you use your awareness in the movement. You go out of the automatic pilot. Otherwise it doesn't make sense. So you repeat the movement a few times just so that you can look at different aspects of it and notice more things. You don't repeat automatically.
Right. So you're tuning in so that you can learn or tune in more to your body, and then tuning out like the other things that aren't needed, or maybe the tape loop that's been repeated for a certain movement. Like you said, like we're learning through different things as an adult on that straight path where we're not steering off of that path. So then when we have that awareness of movement, it allows us to have more flexibility and more connection to our body.
Yeah, absolutely. It's well, of course, I call it mindful movement because you need to be mindful when you do it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's not for the sake of the movement. So that's about the words that I use. But exactly as you say, it is you take the opportunity to be mindful and to use your awareness, because this is how we learn. So when we pay attention to what we do, we can learn something new. This is
right. This is how we are as humans.
Sounds obvious, but
Yeah. It's true though. Sometimes we get stuck in not learning new things, especially as we age, right? Like you said, getting stuck on that. So what are there specific, okay, so let's set the stage. So someone's in the mindfulness movement classes or the awareness movement classes, and are there specific ones that are, or can this help with stress, especially like long-term stress, like the impact of chronic stress of the pandemic? It sounds like you in the beginning, you kind of created a new style of working that helped people with this. And so I'd love for you to talk kind of like how the mindfulness movement impacts the stress that we're experiencing. And then also about how you created from that these new 3-minute exercises or movements.
Yeah, so the benefits of this work are really infinite. This is quite amazing. People in my colleagues tend to specialize. So they work with a certain group of people. So if some people work with back pain, and when you reorganize the way you move, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, like kind of illnesses of our society. People sit a lot, they move too little, they do very repetitive movements. And this takes its toll on the body. And so this method can help you reorganize yourself so that pain goes out of the picture. It's not part of your habitual patterns anymore. So that's one big bulk of benefits that this method can have. And some people specialize with the high performance, with athletes, with actors, with musicians, who are musicians and Feldenkrais practitioners like myself. So they work with musicians, and this can really be very beneficial to improve, to really get better, to get to a higher level of performance, because you fine-tune everything you do. And usually what we talked about before, like as adults, we tend to be taught the correct answer. We don't play anymore. We don't explore options. So most musicians have learned their instrument or their voice or whatever it is that they're doing that way. They learn to do the right thing. They have a very narrow view of what technique is. Like what is it that they do and how to do it correctly. And when you start playing with, like, do you know where your pelvis is at all? Do you know where your hip joint is? Is it part of your playing your instrument? Do you ever notice your breathing? Like basic things. I mean,
yeah, the basics we forget.
Part of our action constantly. And when we start opening this up and improving these little things, like how do you sit on a chair if you play on a chair? How do you stand? And if you're a singer, what is happening in your knees, in your feet? How is the weight distributed on your feet? Things that are not officially part of their technique, so they're just blind to it. And when you open up a little bit of space for observation that is more global, that involves the whole person, things really change, and people improve a lot. I mean, my piano playing changed radically during the Feldenkrais training that I took. It's a 4-year training, and it became something completely different because I changed. I changed the way I'm on stage, the way I present myself, the way I work with people. And of course, the physical action of playing the piano changed a lot because I use myself differently. So it's very global. It's very like holistic.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I love the piece you were talking about with that body awareness, because I think we have come to this place in time where most people, it's like they disconnect from their actual physical body. And even the terms that we use, they're so general, like, oh yeah, I have my arm hurts or my stomach hurts, and the internal and the external awareness has so shifted. But I love that the method that you're using brings that body awareness, especially in improving how we function. and how those neural pathways are connected, and also that cellular matrix. Because I love, it almost reminds me of like the Rolfing method. Like in my brain, I can see this kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Ida Rolf's method, but it's like the cellular structure, all of the alignment as the spine and the vertebrae coming together from the feet to the head. And it kind of reminded me of that, like when you were talking about like, yeah, your body is reconnecting from the cellular way and relearning these new pathways, these new ways to communicate with parts that they might not have been communicating with previously.
Yeah, actually, Ida Rolf was knew Moshe Feldenkrais, and they quite appreciated each other's work.
I bet.
Yeah,
I can see that.
There are other methods in this family of what we call somatic education. Ways of learning and improving using your body consciousness, like your physical manifestation.
Right, yes. The physical body that we're in, because we're really just energy, right? Living in this physical form, figuring out how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
It's funny to talk about it, because when I talk about it, you can get an idea. If you want, we can go through something like a 3-minute session, right? So you have an example of what it feels like.
Sure, that would be fun. Yeah, we can totally do that. Can we go back to one question I asked you about stress, how the mindfulness movement impacts stress? I think I asked kind of like 2 questions at once, but I'd love for you to go back and answer kind of that piece. And then let's do a 3-minute demo of it, like, so that people can understand that piece, Michael. I'd love that.
Yeah, right. I forgot about stress. So I told you the same work can have a whole variety of benefits. And of course, part of it is that you use your awareness. And when you do it on a regular basis, it becomes better. Your awareness is a skill. You learn it.
Right.
When you do it, when you use it constantly, it becomes better. And I call it mindful movement for a reason. You have to, when you do this kind of class, you have to be mindful. You don't listen to music, you don't answer your phone. You are in what you're doing, you're in the now, and within your body, and you're paying attention. And this is also a skill you become. And a student of mine recently told me, she's a physiotherapist, so she has she's always curious about what is happening.
Right.
She told me she always felt so different by the end of the class, and so relaxed, that she took her pulse and her blood pressure before the class and after the class. She told me her pulse was lower about 8 points, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
And this was because she was lying, she was moving with attention slowly. Right. The muscle tone usually for most people tends to come down, because most of us go around our lives with too much tension, more than necessary.
Right.
Some people don't. Some people are very lax,
laid back,
and need more muscle tone. So it's not about relaxation.
Right.
But it is pretty much the normal effect, because most of us are very tense. Yeah. So when you kind of optimize your your way of being, your holding it, usually you tend to relax. And so it is helpful for stress. It is helpful for noisy mind. It kind of calms you down. Because you focus, you slow down, you really take time to look at yourself, to be with yourself, to treat yourself kindly. It's a very self-loving way of exploring. You don't try to get anything. You don't go to the extreme. It is like the contrary of no pain, no gain.
Right. It's not extreme sport movement. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that piece about having that time to slow down. It really sounds like that the mindfulness movement impacts the nervous system and allows us to get out of that sympathetic mode of going and fighting into this place of parasympathetic, that resting and digesting, which of course then will reduce stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very little research because there are no funds for research of alternative methods. So nobody really takes the time and the money to look into it. But I'm sure if they do, they'll find that the parasympathetic system gets a boost in a class. You can and you feel it. You don't need a laboratory for this. You get up from a Feldenkrais class and you feel different, you feel better, you feel more comfortable in your skin.
No, I love that. Okay.
You feel that you move with more freedom, with less effort.
So your whole body then it feels all the effects, not just your nervous system.
Better tuned.
Right. You're tuned in. Okay, so talk us through, Michael, a 3-minute type of exercise. What that, or it doesn't have to be the 3 minutes, whatever you could just give us like an explanation of maybe like one movement so that the people listening could understand what that is like. I really would love that.
Yeah, so I'll give you a sample of a possible session. It is one of the thousands that are possible, so it's not the right one. It's just a possibility. Okay, right. So you ready to move?
Ready. Okay, out there, listeners, tune in to move.
So sit a little bit in the front of the chair so you don't lean back.
Right. My feet don't touch the floor, but I'm very short. I'm only like 5 feet. So, but I will scoot up to the front. There we go. A little bit.
Yeah, it's good if you have your feet on the floor and you just sit up normally. Don't try to do a good posture or anything particular. And now, well, with earphones, it's a little tricky, but tilt your head to bring your right ear closer to the right shoulder, and then the left ear closer to the left shoulder. Don't go to the extreme, make it soft. Just a little bit that is really easy. Compare the movement to both sides.
Loosening up the neck. So good.
Look at what moves, and most people feel some kind of difference between the sides. It's we're not really symmetrical. Okay, no. So now let your arms hang on both sides of your sides, like at the front of the chair. And now as we're only going to the right. So you tilt again your ear to the right and come back to the middle. So we do just half of the movement. To the right and to the middle. And now each time you tilt your head to the right, you lengthen your right arm a little towards the floor. So your right hand that is hanging there comes a little closer to the floor. And you come back to the middle. And we're looking at what we call side bending, right? Or lateral flexion.
That's right.
So you try not to turn to look to the side.
Right.
Your gaze goes forward. So when you lengthen your right arm as you tilt down, you notice that some more of you is participating. You have to do something with your chest, your ribs. So it's not just the neck, it's also more of your spine. It goes lower down. Okay, so come back to the middle, and here's one more variation. Put your left arm up. It doesn't have to be stretched, just above your head, wherever is comfortable. Your right arm is hanging, same as before. Okay, you keep doing the same. Right hand comes closer to the floor, and now, as you move, lengthen your left hand to the ceiling. And when you come back, just relax. You leave the arm.
So it works a lot on the fascia too. All of the, all of the fascia that's connected from one one
I'm
point
sure it does.
to another.
Yeah, so now you notice as you lengthen, the hands come away from each other, right? The right hand goes to the floor, the left hand goes to the ceiling. So notice what happens in the ribs on your left side. Now there's a big opening up of the ribs.
Breathing.
There's much more of you participating in the same movement of tilting to the right. Okay? And again, you try to make it purely lateral. You don't turn. Okay, so put down your arms. You can put your hands on your thighs. Just for a second. And again, tilt your head, just your head, left and right.
My left feels much stiffer because now my right side is all loose.
Okay, so I don't know if it was 3 minutes, but more or less.
No, that's perfect. That's a good
possible exploration of side bending. So it is very specific, and we worked only on one side. So by the end of it, most people feel quite a difference between both sides. So something changed.
Right.
I would assume that we didn't change your physical structure in 3 minutes. Something changed.
Well, you don't know that.
in your way of organizing movement.
Right.
So something by using more of you, mobilizing the chest, the spine, the thoracic spine.
Right.
So you use the articulations of the ribs
of the
with
sternum.
the sternum. So you just take a movement of tilting your head and build on it and make it more global.
Right.
This is what we did, right?
Yeah, love it. I'll have to do the other side later.
And the
So
fact that you felt a difference means that something changed.
Right.
In your brain, in your nervous system, there is some new information. And so imagine doing this every day. You dedicate 3 minutes, it's not a lot, something happens in 3 minutes. It is enough for something to happen. And we do a different exploration every day. Over time, it really begins to kind of build up to some kind of transformation, which is, I found it really effective because this was an experiment and nobody does Feldenkrais for 3 minutes. But when you do
now
it
you
online, online it works. If nobody would come to my studio to do a 3-minute class every day.
Probably not.
It doesn't work.
No.
But online it does work.
Right.
So this is a new way of using the same material, the same way of exploring in a very short but daily practice.
Oh,
and
that's great.
That building the habit, like really doing it every day, people start looking forward to it. It's not the same as going for a class once a week.
Right. Yeah.
Part of your life.
So
quite effective.
Yeah, I can totally see how that, especially if they're doing something every day. And how do listeners do that? How can they start to do something and make this like daily practice or quote unquote habit? And then why is it so important to have this daily practice and daily habit for movement?
Well, I started exploring habit creation when I became independent, when I left the university and I decided to be a full-time Feldenkrais practitioner. I had no idea what I'm going into. It's the first time in my life that I was an entrepreneur, that I had my own business. So of course, I knew how to teach Feldenkrais, but I had no idea what it means, what it meant to have a business. Like
right. You're like, okay, here I go.
So I started, and I found out that I had no idea how to manage my time, how to know what to do today, what to do tomorrow, what is important, what is not important. This is a whole new world.
Right, it is. Yeah, an entrepreneur world is a different world, right? You're in charge of yourself, telling yourself what to do.
Yeah. And much of it wasn't fun at all.
Right, they're the other side.
I had to learn a lot, and part of it was time management and habit creations. So I went into this, studied how to create good habits that would make this new line of work function.
Right. And stick. Right.
And this is where this idea came from. Okay, habit creation together with Feldenkrais, interesting. Let's do something with that.
Yeah.
What happens if we do it every day? And yeah, when any desired behavior becomes a daily habit, it just becomes part of your life. It has a space, it has a time, it has you built in. So after a while, you don't have to really decide to do it. You don't have to be terribly motivated. It's just there. So even on motivated days, you do it because it's part of your life.
Yeah, it's just like drinking water or brushing your teeth. Yeah, totally. So it becomes a habit. And how do you have these recorded where people go and can watch them and like say, you know, they want to do the 3, how does it work where people can go and practice the exercises for 3 minutes a day with you?
Yeah, so I have a course that is called Persistent Growth. And this is exactly it. It's a new 3-minute recording is released every day, so they get an email, a reminder with a link. It is hosted in a course web page. It is very nice and friendly. So you go there, you click the link, you do your 3 minutes, and this is it. And of course, we have chat, like there are comments to the exercises. There's a Facebook group. There are some, a monthly live call. So it is interactive in some way. But the bulk of it is the 3-minute video that you do every day, and it's a different one every day. So
that's great. It's really easy and to add in to daily lifestyle changes. Because I think one thing that a lot of patients talk about is like, you know, making a lifestyle change is so much work. Like, how can you make it easy, right? And that can be, you know, people can also make excuses, but it could also be like this threshold that they're trying to get over, you know, to go from like A to B. You're like, well, how can I even do 30 minutes of exercise? You're asking me to do. So, you know, I love that there's that 3-minute component, because then when they do feel the effects, then they can also do something larger, like you were saying, like do some more cardio when they're feeling the effects. Maybe they're hip pain is going away and they're able to move because their low back pain, you know, those things that might have been holding them back from that moving forward more are then now less present.
Yeah, of course. This was the idea, because I've seen that many people just don't get to do exercise and don't get to do take my classes, my regular long classes, because they are too stressed, they don't have time. It is difficult to build in something new into your life that is not there. Right. So this is part of my learning of habit creation. Make it really small and easy. So there is no excuse really. Everybody can find 3 minutes a day.
Right. If you can't find 3 minutes, then I think you need to take a vacation. Right. Yes. Yeah. So is it recommended that they only do the 3 minutes or once a day, or can someone say like, you know, I really like that 3 minutes. I could do another 3 minutes during the day, like as a break after lunch. Like if they're sitting for, you know, a lot of people are sitting a lot now because of they're working from home. So my real question is like, okay, I found I like to do the exercise in the morning. Is it okay, Michael, if I do another 3 minutes in the afternoon? And then also after I'm done, you know, winding down, wanting to slow down at the end of the day, can I do another 3 minutes at that time of the day too?
Yeah, of course. The idea is not to limit yourself to 3 minutes and you are not allowed to do more. Of course not.
Just checking.
The idea of the 3 minutes is that you are successful with very little and you notice a change. So 3 minutes is enough for something to happen.
Right.
And when you did your 3 minutes, you can tick it off and say, I did my thing. You feel successful. You want to do it the next day. This is how habits work. This is what I learned in my own process. So of course, if you do something like what we did a couple of minutes ago, and you say, oh, I'd love to do it to the other side. You repeat it and do it to the other side.
Right.
Of course. Or you do it 2 hours later to the other side. And of course, all of the previous sessions, as you advance in the course, you have access to them. So you can take note of the ones that really made sense to you. Like maybe one exploration was, oh wow, this was good. I want to go back to it. Of course you can. And what I found out with my clients who did in the pilot group, many of the people took this as this helped them really want to move more. The idea is not to replace any other kind of movement with these 3 minutes. Like, this is condensed, you don't need to move anymore. It's not about that.
Yeah, no.
You really feel the desire to move more. You feel more mobile, and you feel your body. You feel you're more embodied. So movement is fun, and you start to find the things that you really enjoy doing and start doing them. So it's actually it's kind of a basis for to live better.
Right, to create more movement.
Yeah. So it doesn't replace cardio or aerobic exercise. Of course, we need it. We need to move much more than we do, most of us.
Do you encourage anyone to use, like, some kind of Fitbit or monitor, or Apple Watch, something that they're monitoring? Like you said, you mentioned earlier heart rate, and I was curious if you've done anything with your students, if they like, oh yeah, when I'm coming in for doing a longer period of time, or even at 3 minutes, I could see, oh yeah, I saw it register as a decrease in my heart rate, and then I could see throughout the day that I was able to breathe more. Have you been doing anything like that with your students, with what's the name of the program called? The progressive movement?
Persistent growth.
Persistent growth. Sorry.
No, I didn't do anything really scientific, like really take register.
I was just curious.
What's happening. Not really. You feel the change. I mean, really, awareness is something that is, when it becomes part of your life, you notice yourself more. You're more in contact with this physical being that you are.
Right.
And things happen, and this is the way I took it. I never needed the proof, the scientific proof, because it works. I know it works because it worked on me. I mean, my life changed completely with this kind of new skills that I developed. So
yeah,
not really, but it would be helpful if somebody does this kind of research.
Yeah, I was just curious if, say, someone was having like high blood pressure, like you mentioned earlier, and they're like, okay, I'm going to start doing the Feldenkrais method to see if I can have a change in my blood pressure, like over a 1 month period, doing a mindfulness movement over 30 days. That's the kind of thing that, from, of course, my doctor's mind goes there, like, because I think that's like, a way we all have things that we're working on, whether that's the stress or anxiety, worry, the daily life. But then there's also the health component where it could be, joint pain or cardiovascular health. So in a way that, and they, like you said, you see the results, but sometimes it's nice to see like some kind of quantitative data to be like, oh yeah, look, over this month, I did the 3 minutes every day, and my blood pressure went from, 180, which would be really high, 180 over 90 to maybe it went down to 160 over 80, something. Just curious. So maybe out there, if you're listening, you'll start that and do that, because I don't have blood pressure.
There is a committee and then a publication in the Feldenkrais world that looks at all the research that is done and encourages people to do more research in the Feldenkrais world specifically. So there is literature. I never really looked at it because I'm more of an experiential
yeah, no,
guy.
that's fine. That's good.
But there is some material and there is some research already done.
Oh, nice. I can do a little Googling
so
on
I can
PubMed.
send you the link.
Okay.
The link to there is Feldenkrais International there are international bodies in the Feldenkrais method, and there is a page for the
research studies.
science and Feldenkrais. I'll
Nice.
send it to you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll post a little bit about that on the podcast page. Okay, great, Michael. As we're wrapping up today, I'd love for you to, one, talk about how people can find you and learn about what you're doing, sign up for the wonderful program that you're doing with the 3-minute exercises of mindfulness movement.
Yeah, so I'm just in the process of changing my webpage. So, but it is there. It is called persistent-growth.com. So,
that's easy.
And when you go, you will have access to a document that I'm preparing. There is one now. There's going to be a new one. Whenever you get there, it will be there.
There'll be something fun there for you.
and you'll be on my list to get to know when the next launch is. And I'm launching the Persistent Growth series, like starting from day one, once in a while. So if you're interested, sign up on my page, persistent-growth.com, and we'll be in touch.
Oh, that's great. So you say that you can join in occasionally. Like, how often do you have the new start happen?
I still don't know exactly the date of the next launch. Once in a while. I like to launch it in group so that people do it together at the same time, and then we're in contact.
Right, that's better.
Talking in the Facebook group. We have live calls, so I don't let people in at any moment.
Random.
On their own.
Right. No, that sounds good.
It's good to have the community around it.
Right. No, that's great. Okay, so they can find you on your website at persistent-movement.com. Growth. I keep saying movement. I'm sorry. persistent-growth.com, because you want to you want to grow. Okay, great. And then do you have some social media as well where people can find you and find out what you're doing and follow you?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Facebook, a little bit on Instagram. I guess you'll put the links somewhere.
Yeah, I will. Yes, and that's the Michael Landau on Instagram and the Michael Landau Persistent Growth on Facebook.
My page on Facebook is called Persistent Growth.
Okay, great. I'll put those. Yeah, I'll put those in the show notes. So all the listeners will be able to find Michael really easy. And one last question as we're wrapping up things today. If you had an unlimited budget right now, what would you do to have the biggest impact on the planet?
Oh, wow. I'd probably hire some people to help me with the things that I don't really know how to do, because this work is really valuable. I know it. It works. So I would get help to spread the word. Just to get more people to be able to join in.
I love it. So
now it's my business, one-man business. I had to learn how to deal with all the technical stuff. I'm not very good at it, so it's still a bit small.
It's growing.
It is growing.
It's growing. Well, I'm sure you'll manifest that then. And I love that. It's good. It's true. The more that work that wonderful people like you are doing, the more that we can help manifest the tools to help support you, then it goes worldwide and people can learn. So thank you again, Michael, for joining us today. And I look forward to sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Dr. Lulu. I love the work you're doing. I really feel that lifestyle medicine is what we need right now. Like, really look at how the way we live makes us sick and how we can change. Like, really make a decision and change the way we live to be healthier and happy.
So true. Healthy and happy. That's a great way to end. Have a great night.